Hey, this is Jedidiah Collins from Your Money Vehicle. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson.
Time to shine today. Varsity Squad. It is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 160 with my brother from another mother, Jedidiah Collins. The man played in the NFL. He made teams, especially my Detroit Lions. Wore the Honolulu blue in silver, and he's just a fantastic human being that is a go-giver at heart. He is an author, a speaker, and just a total level upper. I don't want to go too much into it because I extended this interview just because our flow was so locked in that it's a little bit longer than I generally do, but I'm so glad I did because what he's about to drop on you through his knowledge nuggets is just totally above reproach. So without further ado, sit back, relax, break out your notebooks, because here comes my really good friend, Jedidiah Collins, from rookie to veteran. Let's level up. Time to shine today, Varsity Squad. It is Scott Ferguson. And the guy that I'm bringing on today does not really need to earn a varsity letter from Time to Shine Today. But because this guy played for the Shield, and if anybody out there knows what that means, he played for the NFL. He's a freaking baller. He helps people level up all parts of their life, but he really zones in on finance. He helps the youth. He helps people that are playing. He's across the board. He played for my team here, the Detroit Lions, and everybody knows I'm all about Detroit versus everybody, a Midwest boy relocated down here to South Florida. But I'm going to bring on my guy, Jedidiah Collins. And I can't say enough about him. You have to check him out. Everything's going to be in the show notes down below. But his rookie to veteran and his other programs that we're going to dive into stand out above and beyond. He's a former NFL player who was cut 12 times on his way to become the number one player at his position. Fullback, baby. The lost art of the fullback. Current certified financial planner, where he studied for each test in the offseason while playing the NFL. So basically, he leveled up during his offseason to keep crushing it because he knows that the NFL was finite, and what we talk about is overlapping happiness a lot here at Time to Shine Today. Even the good times are finite. They're going to end. So Jed is a practitioner at leveling up and overlapping his happiness. He went on to writing the bestseller, Your Money Vehicle, which I'm going to give away, a signed book from Jed. He's going to happily sign it for me and mail it out to you. I'm going to purchase it. He's going to sign it and mail it out to you. It's called Your Money Vehicle, as well as Create Virtual Education Course. And Jed, welcome to the squad, brother. If you could, come on and introduce yourself. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
That's a great question.
Better be Honolulu blue.
It had been Honolulu blue. So I would have to go with crimson, man. You're a big believer in supporting yours. So Washington State Cougs, crimson and gray.
Hell yeah.
They gave me so much, including my wife, that I got my first daughter's name's Palmer Gray. And I always said if I had a boy, it would be crimson, but
love that.
My wife didn't go for Palmer Crimson.
Love it. So you level up through Mission Viejo High School,
Diablos,
which is just a friggin' place that people roll through to go to go to the show. You know, at least to a Division I college, because we got Dwyer literally right down the street here in Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah.
That a lot of guys roll to the show from there. So you know, you go there, you go and you play for the Cougars, and then you play for a bunch of different teams. You know, give us a little bit of your experience with that, but then rolling forward about how you started the origins, where you're at right now, please.
Absolutely. So Mission Viejo, I was very fortunate. I went 41-0 in my career at Mission Viejo High School. And I remember very vividly my coach coming up to me before the championship game my senior year and said, 41-1 or 42-0, how do you want to go through your life? So I went 41-1. So it taught me how to win. And truly being able to walk onto a field as a Diablo, I knew we were going to win. And that mindset as a young man to be around winning is tremendous value. I went to Washington State, had a tremendous experience and time, but it taught me how to deal with setback, failure, how to struggle through and earn those victories. And then as I went into the league, I got to really define what I identified as a great failure. You mentioned I got cut 12 times. That means 12 times I was told my dream was over. And it felt the same way every single time. A shot to the heart, a gut punch, and knocked down. But what I am most proud of is getting back up, continuing to tell myself that I believe, continuing to put forth the behaviors and the principles. And that is really what the best gift the game of football has given me, is the rookie to veteran sequence of how I stole success from watching and absorbing the best in the world. I would go away from each locker room I got cut from and say, that 8-year safety, that 12-year offensive lineman, that 19-year kicker, what were they doing that I needed to take? And that is really what has changed both my success on the field in the NFL, as well as my success beyond the game of football in taking that approach. So it's been a really neat thing. And I want to touch on something you mentioned around that finite mindset going to abundance. One of the greatest tools I stole was this idea that even success or wins were fleeting moments gone by. And we really need to focus on enjoying the process and enjoying the buildup. And so one of the quotes I took from locker rooms was, enjoy the hunt. And that was the idea that success and greatness is boring if you do it the right way.
I love it. So you touched on the process. The great coach Bill Walsh there in the state of California, where you're from, said the score will take care of itself, right?
Yep.
The process. And what we talk a lot here at Time to Shine today at my clients and my coaching groups and my listeners, inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard, right? So tell us a little bit about your process of, helping others level up and also keeping yourself leveled up.
So what you mentioned, Bill Walsh's quote, score will take care of itself, is one of my favorites because he understands outcomes are hard to impact. Inputs are where you get the true growth. So I have one concept called mow your grass, meaning your success is going to be found in your backyard under things that you control. And so we really try to control the controllables. My favorite 3 are controlling your A.P.E, A.P.E, your attitude, your preparation, and your efforts. And so in that idea, I really can approach any new crisis, any new opportunity, and reevaluate myself. Is my attitude correct? What am I mentally dripping in my psyche? Is my preparation on point? Did I bring what I was supposed to this event? And then once the ball, gets rolled out, the whistle blows, effort is 100%, takes 0 skill, and is a true measurable. So I look at that and I say, control the controllables is one of the easiest and hardest concepts to implement. But one of the things I love is when I meet people like yourself and I see the similarities. Inch by inch is a cinch. I got to work next to a 16-year linebacker, and this was in Kansas City. This was towards the end of his career. And as we trained together, I observed him, and you call it what you want. I love people. I'm a curious person.
Yes.
And so I would watch and study the best.
Sure.
And when we would run 40 yards, he'd run 45. We'd run 50, he'd run 55. We'd go into the weight room, and I as a fullback, linebackers, we're in the same group. I would do a set of 10 at 225. He would slide on 2.5 on each side, and he'd do an 11.
Wow.
And so finally, I just asked. I said, man, I don't get it. Like 5 pounds. What does 5 pounds make a difference? And he smiled and said, look around. Every player in here is younger, cheaper, healthier. Every player in here is here to take my job. The only reason after 15 years I'm still here is because I come in each day and I steal this. And he held up his fingers and he showed that little thing. But he said, I steal inches. Because I know an inch can lead to a yard to a first down to a touchdown to a win. And a win gets us to the Super Bowl, which is why I show up every day.
Love that.
And that mindset, brother, that can be translated and input into every aspect of our life. Where is a little inch? I love, the financial empowerment side.
Sure.
Look at compound interest. That is inches stacking up.
Right.
But what I took about it on the field was my measurement as a fullback, as a lead blocking fullback. I wasn't a pretty fullback. I went and moved people. Right. Was a 6-inch battle. If I can move my opponent, a big angry D end or linebacker, 6 inches, that was a plus. That was a win for me. So I took that concept of stealing an inch Monday through Saturday. I would go and steal 6 inches throughout the week so I can go out there on Sunday and win that 6-inch battle. And I am honored and proud to say that process, that mindset is what took me to the number one spot at my position. I won
Right.
that 6-inch battle more than anyone else in the NFL in that year. And it was truly through stealing that success.
Wow, that's amazing, Squad. Did you hear that? It's a 1-inch battle. He just said Monday through Saturday, and there's 6 days. If he stole an inch a day, then he can move those 6 inches. That big beast of a man. That's fantastic. So, what do you think then makes a great coach or leader, Jedidiah?
Their ability. So, and this is something I again, going in and out of 12 different locker rooms, one of the best things I did, and it was frowned upon, but I would take my playbook, and I'm a big journaler. So as the head coach was always up in front of the stand or in front of the team, I would jot down things they did and say, and I really got to see different head coaches and how they ran their enterprises. What I think is the most important is their ability to have people see a different perspective of their goals. So most people see their goals through me, my goal, the unit I'm on. I'm an offensive lineman or a linebacker group, and then the team, and then let's go win. If I, as a coach, can have not selfless players, but prioritize the impact of what a team, unit, me looks like on a goal setting and get them to unify around a team goal first, then I can go and achieve anything in the world. And it is amazing to me that a head coach has the job of corralling 50 grown, independent, ego-driven men into believing in that one unifying goal. Yes, money plays into it. Yes, ego and pride, but you get the champions, get guys to walk out onto the field and say, I know I have to do this because I don't want to let that guy down, or I don't want to let everyone down. So if I can get a group of people to see team unit me, then we're going to go places.
That's amazing. I did 7 years in the military, and you go to boot camp, right? You got 80 guys that all from different backgrounds. And some of the guys, it was either jail or the military, right? So you would have that, and you'd be, by the end of boot camp, you'd be molded into 80 guys marching, saluting, everything together. And I understand it's a big deal, but I think it's even a bigger deal to take grown-ass men that a lot of them are millionaires, and then molding those people into champions. That you just said it, man. You nailed it. A great leader has the ability to see different perspectives, but to get to the same goal. That's fan. Thank you for sharing that, dude.
Don't kid yourself. There, not most of that locker room, but a large percentage, it was either jail or the NFL. That's not.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? That's true. Never thought about like that, brother. So if I'm out at a networking event, which unfortunately you're at, you can't, but if I'm out or even virtually networking with somebody, and I'm using the golden rule of shutting my mouth and opening my ears, 2 ears, one mouth for a reason. What am I listening for that would make them a great connection, referral, or someone I need to introduce to you, Jedidiah?
So one of my greatest networking, so one of our Rookie to Veteran principles is finding a gray beard, somebody who you can learn from. And people equip mentors with age. I learn more from 21-year-olds today than any group of people in the world. Gen Z is crazy. Sure. It's also the group I want to influence and impact. And I'll circle back to that. But if I was at a networking event, I have 3 questions. I always, and I don't frame them the exact same way every time, but I have 3 questions that I walk through that will lead you, if you're curious, if you're truly curious, will lead you to a great 20-minute conversation. The first one, and it's why, how, what. Steal from Simon Sinek's why, how, what model. Why did you achieve what you did? Like, why did you choose to go down this path? What was it? What did you see? Why are you where you are? Then how did you do it? Okay, so you had this vision, you had a dream, you have a passion, you had a discipline. What is that discipline? How did you get to, accomplishing that? And then flipping it to myself, what should I be working on? Why did you choose this path? How did you do it? What should I be working on? And those 3 questions to a mentor, again, 20 or 70, those will get you to a great communication. If you're out and you're talking to people, my journey began, why I started was my first paycheck in the NFL came and went before I even knew what to do. It cashed and went out the door that day. Now, full disclosure, I bought an engagement ring and my wife and I have been married for 10 plus years. So it was a wise investment.
Sure.
But it woke me up the next night in sweat and in knots, knowing I was going to become the statistic, the 70% that end the game on financial hardships if I didn't change my relationship. And so I went and started searching for a book or a course or a teacher that could give me the basics of money and then how to go and use money. And an acronym I love is U.S.E. Understand money, strategize money, and be efficient with money. So what I wanted was somebody to teach me to use money. And there are some great books, great examples out there, but there was nothing that was talking to me through stories, talking through me as a beginner, talking to me about how to level up in my finances. And so that is the journey I began down and brought me to where I am today. I empower people to use money. I begin at the beginning because that's where we have to start.
Sure.
So I begin with the foundation of how money works. And then I introduce you as a wealth manager, as a certified financial planner, to 10 different questions and aspects of money. The vast majority of personal finance books out there focus on investments. I think that's a very important piece. I think that's the engine that drives your money vehicle. But if you are only focused on that, number one, you don't control much of investing. And number two, you're going to lose on a lot of other pieces around taxes, around cybersecurity, insurance, around estate planning, banking, credit, all that. So where can we begin? So I love being introduced to people as saying, do you want to start a financial journey? Do you want to have an educator that is not only going to engage you, but entertain you on how to learn to use money? And that is who I'm looking for. I mentioned Gen Z, but really I want to address the 16 to 15 to 30-year-olds and say, you are all just been sat down in the driver's seat of your money vehicle. You need to learn how to drive it.
You just dropped some solid knowledge nuggets on us there. It's funny because the theory of relativity happens when you make money. I made a significant amount of money in the early 2000s. And, the theory of relativity that like when you make money, everyone's your relative. So especially you don't have the identity, especially where I was from. My dad worked on the line of General Motors. I love him. He's my best friend, but I didn't have the identity to hold on to money.
Yes.
So as it came in, like you said, it went out, and it wasn't on an engagement ring. It was on that Range Rover. It was on the SL5 to say, hey, I have this scripted life with all these rides in the driveway. So I appreciate you saying that. So is there any good question, Jedidiah, that when you start working with groups or even one-on-one, that any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
They would ask me but never do. A question, and because I'm an athlete, I'm a competitor, everything to me is, again, goals-oriented and process-driven. And so very few people ask me how I handle my money or what money means to me. One of my greatest questions, because in this digital virtual world, we are learning as speakers, as people who typically would stand in front of rooms and engage a group. We have to do this in a different sense, and it is 100% through questions and asking the right ones. A conversation starter that I'm now an adjunct professor at Washington State teaching a upper level finance class. The first class, our first hour and 20-minute session, was based off one question: money is. And I let it just fill in the blank. And we went around and, 35 students defined what money was to them. And you saw 30 different perspectives. And so I would ask more people to ask me or identify what their relationship is with it, because if you are going to get where you want to go, if you are going to become that veteran financially, you got to identify yourself as a rookie, as this is what has made me up to today. My mom taught me money this way. My dad taught me money this way. My uncle, nobody taught me money. Who am I today and what is money to me? So I wish more people would have those
I
conversations
love
and be.
I love you said that, Jedidiah. I started to interject, but I love that you say it because there's a lot of young men and women that you probably work with that don't have the winning background because they weren't goal driven process. They were not raised that way, you know?
Mhm.
So is there a secret sauce that you use when communicating to the young man or woman that kind of comes from, you know, a background like myself? I didn't want for anything, but I just didn't get anything. You know what I'm saying? Or even the people that are deprived, like what is your secret sauce for handling them? And maybe because a lot of what I'm hearing is, you know, you want to kind of change their mindset in a sense, you
100%.
know, to where money is good, money can be useful. But what is the secret sauce you might use with somebody that has zero money identity?
So one, I want people to see money as a vehicle. We titled the book, the course, Money Vehicle, because that in an essence changes your perspective of money. So long we've seen money as a destination. I want $1 million. No, you don't. You want what $1 million represents, which is a
Yes.
lifestyle. Then define the lifestyle because that is your objective. Money is simply a medium or a verb that is going to take you there. So that's
Wow.
one of the first ways I want people to start to change their viewpoint of money. Um, but as we look at exactly, you know, one of our challenges in society is this comparison model. We all live on social media. We all see, compare, and contrast. And one of the greatest quotes I heard actually not too long ago was, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Theodore Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy. And so when people start to look at money, I like to use a rich model, RICH. I want you to set a reachable goal because if you don't, you're just going to get depressed. Don't tell me you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow. That's unrealistic. Individual, it has to be yours. So reachable, individual, controllable, going back to that mow your grass, it has to be something that you control. And then H is happy. And that's possibly the most important because we forget that in our today's landscape of money's intention is to give you peace of mind and to bring you happiness. That is its purpose. We lose that identity of what the money is supposed to do. And so if we don't have a happy goal, if at the end of the day you don't kind of smile thinking about it,
Sure.
it's not truly going to impact you. So if you're beginning, you have to begin with the end in mind. You have to begin with that goal setting.
Love that. Love it. Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. I'm just blown away here. So speaking of vehicles, like you're a
Hmm.
little bit younger than me. You know, I'm pushing 50 years old, but you've heard of Marty McFly, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's get in our DeLorean. All right, let's go
Uh-huh.
back to the 22, 23-year-old Jedidiah Collins. What kind of
Hmm.
knowledge nuggets are you dropping on him to maybe, with the experience you have now, Jed, to maybe help him level up, maybe blast through, shorten that learning curve?
So right now, obviously, I said goal setting. Um, Bill Ackman, who's a financial guru, I like to compare him as like a mixture of Warren Buffett and Elon Musk. He's really good at money and he's kind of crazy. Um, he actually just came out with a philosophical question of if the government can give every baby born in America $6,750 and force them to sit in an index fund, getting an 8% return for 65 years, we just inherently made every baby a millionaire upon their birth. That concept's actually what I delivered to my class this morning is around the idea of time value of money.
Sure.
Every athlete, if we can get them to comprehend the time value of money, we can get them headed in the right direction. And so I challenge them by asking, what type of ore are you? And it's how long do you see money? Are you a spendor? You see money on a day-to-day time frame, made money, I spent money. That's how I was. That's how all of us begin. Are you a savor? You start to look at money in a month to month, maybe year to year, looking at an event or an object that you're saving up for. Or are you an investor? Spendor, savor, investor. No, those don't all end in or, but
It's all good. I feel you.
go with me on
Yeah.
marketing purposes.
Yeah.
Investors see money in a decade to decade time frame. and they not just look at how money you go to work for money, they
Sure.
start to look at how money goes to work for you. And so if I could talk to 23-year-old Jed, and this is really the epiphany that I hit when I was 23, when I was a rookie in second year in the NFL, and I started to say, I was an accounting major. My father ran a law firm. My brothers are at Harvard Law School and a master's in engineering at Berkeley, and none of us know how money works.
Wow.
That's scary. We
Wow,
were
that's true.
all
Yeah.
spendors. I was the first one to take that jump of savor. My dad was a savor, but none of us understood investor. So at 23, if I can get you to see what Bill Ackman's saying around the power of compound interest, the power of the time value of money, it's not sexy, but again, greatness is boring. Putting
Wow.
your money to work for you, achieving goals is about finding the love of the process. And so 23, if I can get you to start to see future you, why Warren Buffett is who he is because he connects present value and future value as the same. He
Wow.
says, if I spend $1,000 today, that's like spending $300,000 in the next 10, 20 years.
Wow.
He's famous for saying, I'd never buy a $300,000 haircut. So he cut his own hair because
Right.
he compounded it over time. And so that is the concept that, I'm driving for. Albert Einstein deemed it the eighth wonder of the world.
Sure.
And just really looking at young people and saying, you are the first generation to be awoken to the reality that pensions are gone, retirement is dead. You have to drive a vehicle to your freedom. And we need to empower ourselves to understand what that means and to efficiently use the tools allotted us.
Love it. Hey, Jed, we talk a lot about the dash here at Time to Shine today. How do you want that dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, life date, death date. How do you want Jedidiah Collins's dash remembered?
He empowered 1 million people to use money.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And it was short and to the point. So what's 3 things that Jedidiah can't live without? And take your computer, iPhone, tablet, all the electronics out.
That was not even in the top 10 list. I would say, and this is going to be the cheesy answer, but number 1, my family. I got 2 little girls. Yeah,
Hope you're going to say that, my man.
Yeah, my wife. I juggle a lot. My wife juggles 10 times more, and truly, I don't know where I would be without her guidance and direction. So, number 1 there. Number 2, I would say my journal.
Okay.
The closest spiritually you will ever feel to a higher power, for me at least, the documentation of your personal growth. I get to go back and meet 23-year-old Jed. I get to go back and meet 5 years ago Jed, and
Oh yeah,
seeing that, I think that is truly, truly important. And one of the foundations of communication is through journaling and writing to yourself. And then number 3 thing I cannot live without would probably be working out.
there you go.
That's another one that kind of is an investment in me.
Sure.
But it's just it's innate in my being now, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the chase to stay healthy, and I see the impact that it has on my life. But the competitive side as well. Like I've just got into cycling and trying to beat my neighbors. Like I
nice.
The first time out, it was like, guys, don't, second time I was like, now I'm like, let's go. Like
Do it.
You're going to beat me up this hill. Bring it.
If you can kind of quickly answer this in a sense, or if you want to draw it out, that's fine. Because I'm having a great time here. I'm going to respect your time. Like, how about that? Not competing like you used to anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, was that oh shit moment? Like how was that?
And not only the competing, I often told people as I was transitioning out about the office setting, the hardest part about not playing football anymore is nobody claps for you. Like I can't explain that feeling of waking up, or not waking up, but getting up off the ground after getting hit and you're in the end zone and 70,000 people are telling you you're exactly where you're supposed to be in this world at this moment. The competitive spirit is something you will never lose. You have to find new ways to kind of scratch that itch. And I have been I was not as successful at this because I had not translated it into my business until you start to have measurables, until you start to track things. And that's where the competition begins. As a salesperson, it's very easy to say, hey, here's my number. I'm going to compete and go get that number. But what about the other facets of your job, of your training? How do you continue to have positive competition? Again, comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, not comparing yourself to Bill or Susie down the
Sure.
street.
Right. I love that. I love that. That's a great way that you should be teaching the people that get out of situations, especially the military. I kind of share the same thing with people that get out of the military, because the hardest thing for them wasn't being clapped for, but the process that they were used. They had to be up at a certain time.
Discipline.
A lot of discipline was a lot differently. So what is Jedidiah's definition of a life well lived?
A life well lived is, again, I'm married, which I think is success in today's day and age because it's a challenge.
Sure.
I have two daughters who identify themselves as strong, independent people. And I'm going to go back to that empowerment model. I'm people over profit right now. I will gladly give, and you see this Gary V mindset that is infectious. I would give away a lot of what I do, but people don't respect free. So they want to see perceived value. A life well lived to me is what students, and why I jumped out of wealth management, stopped chasing a good career that was going to pay me a lot of money to go and do this, is because a life well lived means I had people come up to me and say, I made a difference in their lives. And that to me is everything. When I had my first, 16-year-old tell me they were going to teach their sister about what we discussed. I had my first 25-year-old tell me they're going to teach their parents.
Wow.
My game changed.
Wow.
And I saw things differently. And I said, much like when I chose to walk away from football, I can make money. I will make money. But, where is the fulfillment?
Love it. So, Jed, we're going to, as we wind things down here just a little bit, we have our leveling up lightning round. So you and I could talk hours on each one of these.
Yes,
maybe one day we would. But you got 5 seconds, no explanations, and all of them can be answered within the 5 seconds. Are you ready?
All right.
All right, let's level up. What's the best leveling up advice you'd ever received?
Every person is greater than you in some way. Learn from them. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
One of my personal habits is I get up and I speak to myself, self affirmations. Right now it's from Think and Grow Rich. So I repeat my mission.
Love it. Love it.
Every morning.
Other than your great book, The Wealth Vehicle, and not the flavor of the month, but if I'm in my doldrums and you're like, Fergie, read this book, what is it?
That's a great question. Right now, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich for the second time. It is tremendously impactful.
It's the Bible, baby.
It is a crazy book.
For the business and mindset. Yeah. Absolutely. So what emoji do you use most when you're texting?
Good question. Probably either just like the pound fist of like, I got you.
I got one from you.
Or the little guy like with his hands up, like, I don't know. Kinda, okay. It's kind of like my shaking my head. I use that a lot.
So physically, not mentally wisdom. If you're able to just keep gathering wisdom, and being able to give till it hurts. So good. Physically, what age would you stay for the rest of your life if you could?
Man.
While you're still gathering the wisdom.
Yeah. So that began my journey, understanding my demise as a football player, CTE, brain, and all that. Yeah, so this has been on my head and on my heart. If I am still going, I think 90. I think in finance, we would always project your life to age 90 and build a plan that way.
Beautiful.
I think that's a fulfilled life. But as I've heard, there's a baby born today that's going to be 150. So who knows?
Okay. So what's your favorite charity and organization you like to give your time and or money to?
Great question. So I have 3. Washington State, it's given me tremendous. I'm paying back my scholarship, which is a good feat.
Oh,
Team Gleason, Steve Gleason,
oh
ALS
yeah,
fighting. He's
ALS,
not
yeah.
only a Coug, he's a Houdat. He's he's a
That's
Saint.
right. He's both. Yeah.
He's
Okay.
both, man. Yeah, so I doubly love him.
Yeah.
And he's truly changing the world without being able to move his arms or his legs.
Dude,
Just with his eyes, he's delivering keynote speeches. He's
yeah.
an incredible human being.
Yes.
Last but not least would be the Special Olympics. My sister has special needs, and so I just support and love.
You and I are cut from the same sheath, dude, because I support ALS. Every foundation for ALS. I lost a buddy in the military that developed it. And then Special Olympics, I'm a hugger, and I'm on the chair here in South Florida for the Special
Love
Olympics,
it.
man. So that's fantastic. Last question, my friend. This one you can elaborate on a little bit if you want, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
For me, because it was the coming of age, it was the 90s.
All right,
And
very cool.
I loved the ego boost I got from listening to hip hop, but I also loved the crazy spirit I got from it. It was hardcore emo music.
Okay.
It was kind of like a alternative style. That is what I listened to before I went out on the field, because normal Jed couldn't go out there and do his job. I had to turn in, my friends called it Jedzilla.
Godzilla.
And so that was, yeah. So I still listen to those on like workouts, like every now and again, like those old songs will come in.
Yeah, man.
And I'll pick it up a little bit.
Love it. I love it. Jed, how can we find you, brother?
So I am on LinkedIn and YouTube under Jedidiah Collins. Check me out on Instagram or Twitter as Fullback of Finance. That is kind of my personal brand now, the Fullback of Finance. And yeah, by all means, reach out, connect, give me feedback, thoughts, because how I create my content is through questions and through helping people. And I just kind of get to, including myself. So if you can, check out my website at jedidiahcollins.com and reach out or just, follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn and we'll get you more content.
Awesome. And also all of his information will be in the show notes. And the first person that responds either to the Facebook group, Time to Shine Today, or to a LinkedIn post, they're going to get their free copy of Your Money Vehicle, How to Begin Driving to Financial Freedom, from my good friend here, Jedidiah. I'm going to purchase it. He's going to sign it and mail it out to you. He'll take care of the postage, though, I'm sure.
I will just say, if you are not a reader, we have one of the first fully built out on-demand virtual courses. So we've turned Your Money Vehicle, the book, which is phenomenal and is really, really good.
Okay.
But understanding most people don't want to read. It's in 5-minute videos. It's entertaining. I do some acting in there. And so you have 2 options now. So you have no excuses.
Love it. I love it. And squad, you've just literally been blasted with a free masterclass here from my good buddy, Jedidiah. He loves mentoring people. He understands that the more he mentors, the more immortal he becomes. That's what we like to say. The more he mentors, the more people are going to remember what he says. They're going to keep passing it down, which is going to make Jed immortal. He's going to tell you to get up, fail forward. You know, if you're going to fail, fail forward. Just like football. If you're going to get tackled, gain that extra yard. You know, he's going to tell you input, not output, is where you get true growth. Okay. So trust your process. You know, he gave us the A.P.E, the A.P.E, the attitude, preparation, and efforts. He's going to tell you to control the controllables. He'll tell you that a great leader has the ability to see different perspectives of their goals. That's fantastic, because that kind of translated into a great coach in the NFL, or any coach for that matter, being able to take people from different backgrounds, mold them into a winning team. You know, if you're starting to work with a coach, you know, ask them how they handle their money, or what money means to them. And I'm talking about a financial coach. Okay, ask them how they handle their money, or what their money means to them. Use another acronym, USE, which is understanding money, strategizing money, and the efficiency of money. And so just get his book, man. He's going to go through all this stuff a lot better than I am. I have a page and a half of notes here that I'm going to keep reading them off, because you guys need to hear this. You know, he's going to compare. He reminded us that comparison is the thief of joy. He gave us the RICH acronym: reachable, individual, controllable, and happy. And he wants you to be an investor. Out of the 3 ors, you know, spendor, savor, or investor, he wants you to be an investor. Okay. And his programs is going to help you reach that. You know, he's a people over profit and he wants to make a difference in over 1 million people's lives, which he's going to easily pass that. And you know what? Like I said, Jed doesn't need a varsity letter. He probably has a bunch of them, but he's got the Time to Shine Today varsity squad letter. He's humble, he's healthy, he's wealthy, he levels up all those aspects. Thank you, Jed. We are so privileged and privy to have you on here. Can't wait to collaborate with you in the future and then have you back on the show, brother.
Brother, you are an energy giver. I love the community you've built, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my message with your audience.
Excellent, brother. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast, proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.